Is there anything more thrilling than seeing a fighter pull a win out from the jaws of defeat? Well, for today's video, we're bringing you some of the most unforgettable MMA comebacks we could. The moments that made us all sit back in total awe of what we had just witnessed. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let us know by giving it a like and hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any future uploads. Without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10. Derrick Lewis vs. Alexander Volkov. And what better way to kick things off than with the most unlikely heavyweight knockout you'll ever see? It's not that Derrick Lewis isn't always a danger in the cage, but after getting dominated by Alexander Volkov for the first 14 minutes of their fight, it looked like Lewis was out of answers. Volkov was more technical, more confident, and his extreme range and length were clearly giving the Black Beast issues. Or at least, that was the case until Lewis found home for a huge shot with just seconds remaining on the clock. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And seeing Volkov crumble like that was truly insane. This was the true peak of Derrick Lewis's career, a transformative win on the biggest possible stage that brought him a legion of new fans. Number 9. Fedor Emelianenko vs. Kevin Randleman. How do you survive a slam like that? Well, Fedor Emelianenko is not some regular fighter, but even by his standards, getting spiked directly on your head like that is not the type of thing most guys can come back from. The late Kevin Randleman was an absolutely jacked specimen in his prime, and in 99% of cases, he would have gotten a huge KO victory after slamming his opponent down like that. But Fedor is that special 1% kind of athlete, and just got up after that slam like it was nothing to him. That's a 1 in a million talent, folks, and the fact that he was submitting Randleman shortly after proves that he has a level of toughness that goes beyond anything we've ever seen at heavyweight. Number 8. Frank Mir vs. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. But if you want to talk about another insane 180 from a losing position, how about when Frank Mir got stunned badly by Minotauro Nogueira on the feet, only for the Brazilian to go to his BJJ roots and guillotine him there and then? Because at the time, Big Nog and Mir were the two best submission artists in the division, and Nogueira wanted to make a statement. He dropped down for the guillotine and almost had it until Mir rolled free, eventually found Big Nog's arm for the Kimura, and these two ended up in the wildest scramble imaginable. At first, Mir looked like he was a half second away from tapping. Then suddenly, he was on top, about to submit one of the true BJJ greats in the sport. But Minotauro would not tap, and Mir was forced to complete his comeback by snapping the legend's arm. A brutal fight-ending sequence. Number 7. Brock Lesnar vs. Shane Carwin. More heavyweight madness comes in next as Brock Lesnar took on the unbeaten powerhouse Shane Carwin and was forced to eat some major punishment early on. Carwin was on a 100% finishing record up to that point, and man, did he put some serious damage on the champ. Lesnar could have been finished multiple times in that fight, but somehow this 280-pound giant held on. When the second round came, it became clear that Carwin was gassing hard, and Lesnar found some extra juice in the tank, turning the tides in the most dramatic fashion possible to eventually sub the challenger for probably the most impressive win of his entire career. Number 6. Alex Pereira vs. Israel Adesanya. Alex Pereira's MMA career has been an amazing showcase for just how well elite kickboxing and natural athleticism can take you. Poatan found his way into a title shot with his old kickboxing rival Israel Adesanya. The opening rounds were competitive, but Izzy's MMA veteran status was allowing him to pull ahead on the scorecards. Pereira should have had a bit more gassed in round 5, but out of nowhere, he showed he had cardio to spare. And when he eventually attacked Adesanya with his signature left hook, the MMA could not believe what they were watching. After it was clear that Adesanya was going down, the ref mercifully stepped in and called the fight to its halt, declaring Alex Pereira the new champion of the world. Number 5. Matt Hughes vs. Frank Trigg. This absolute gem from the welterweight title archives was once described by UFC president Dana White as his favorite fight of all time. And trust us, it's a great pick. Frank Trigg and Matt Hughes did not like each other one bit. And when Trigg managed to stun Hughes with an illegal knee below the belt that the ref didn't notice, he took full advantage of the opening. Matt Hughes was clearly the better, more technical fighter, but this low blow gave Trigg the break he needed to pile on the pressure. But when Matt Hughes recovered, he managed to escape Trigg's sub attempt. And when he did, what followed next was absolutely insane. Hughes pushed Trigg off his back, scooped him into the air, ran him across the octagon, and slammed him down. And when the time for payback came, Hughes took it, raining down ground and pound on his rival before tapping him with his own rear naked choke. Comebacks rarely come as dramatic as this one. Number 4. Sheik Congo vs. Pat Barry. No points for clean technique on offer for this one. Pat Barry and Sheik Congo might have had the most insane one-round fight in MMA history. Barry caught Congo cleanly early on, causing his opponent to flop wildly around the cage. Another ref might have jumped in to stop the bout, and you could understand why. But just as Barry was moving in to put the finishing touches on his win, Congo sprang to life, nailing Barry with a clean shot that KO'd him stiff there and then. This is the benchmark for absolute chaos inside the cage. Fights rarely come around as wild as this one, folks. Congo took some major damage in this bout, but the level of toughness he showed to survive was just off the charts. Number 3. Yuri Pratka vs. Glover Teixeira. If you haven't seen Yuri Prochazka's 5-round war with Glover Teixeira, you gotta check it out. All fight IQ and game planning went out the window for this one, and these two dudes just basically beat each other up badly for 5 insane rounds of action. Both men were hurt, both men were dropped, but by round 5, it seemed clear as though Glover was doing enough to win both the round and the fight as a whole. But then, something bizarre happened. Yuri, with one last burst of energy, kicked out from beneath the BJJ black belt Teixeira, finding top position before somehow moving to a rear naked choke with just a matter of seconds on the clock. Next thing we knew, Pratka had just tapped the most successful submission artist in 205-pound history, becoming the division's champ in the process. Number 2. Leon Edwards vs. Kamaru Usman. If you're looking for MMA's Rocky moment, look no further than this earth-shattering 5th-round head kick KO from Leon Edwards. It's fitting that Leon adopted Rocky as his own nickname in the fight game because coming into that final minute, it didn't look like he had a hope in hell of catching Kamaru Usman. That was the pound-for-pound number 1, folks, the best fighter in the sport, and in those opening 24 minutes, he looked like it. Usman was simply better than Leon in every area of the fight. And apart from a few strong moments in round 1, Edwards just could not get his game going. But then, out of nowhere, on the brink of defeat in the final round, Edwards threw the most insanely perfect head kick maybe in UFC history, KOing the pound-for-pound king stiff to take home the welterweight title. A rare example of a UFC KO that is actually better than a movie script. Number 1. Anderson Silva vs. Chael Sonnen. How could we make a comeback video and not give a mention to this all-time great moment? Chael Sonnen had no right to look as good as he did against Anderson Silva over 5 rounds. After talking the biggest game imaginable, the bad guy went in there and backed it up, shocking the world by dominating Silva. Anderson was in real trouble coming into the final stretch, and the entire sport were convinced that we were about to see a new champ crowned at 185 pounds. But then, out of nowhere, the Spider sprung his trap, catching the challenger's neck in a triangle choke, finding the tap in the dying embers of the 5th round. This wasn't just a great comeback. This is the greatest comeback of our sport. Chael Sonnen probably deserved to win that fight, but the very best fighters always seem to find a way to upset the odds. And who better than the middleweight GOAT to finish off our video? If you enjoyed these battles as much as we like compiling them, please subscribe and hit the like button. Trust us, you'll want to know about all the crazy stuff that's going to happen.